you don't like talking about yourself as much as you like hearing other people talk about themselves. Is that right?
I feel like I do. I like to ask prompting questions.
Like what I'm doing?
I like to get inside of what their thought process is.
Yeah.
I do like to ask opinions about certain situations that I encounter
Hmm.
from other people because I don't know why, but I feel like I need their input, not necessarily their validation, but
Yeah.
their perspective.
So do you kind of process and develop ideas by hearing other people talk about theirs?
Yes.
That's exactly what I do.
How do you? How have you tamed that at all? Like,
Honestly, no. I've embraced it, which is why I'm doing this.
okay, because I don't know. In corporate America, it doesn't do very well.
I can see how that might be the case, but I can also see how it could come in handy because people like listeners, and most people love to talk about themselves.
It's quite interesting.
It is, and there are a few oddballs out there who don't, like you and I. Um, I'm doing my best to make you talk about yourself.
And it's really hard because I keep pushing back on you. I keep asking you questions too, and I don't know. It just
I think.
I want to learn how to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I want
go
to learn
ahead.
how to tame it in regards to who to ask what questions
Yeah.
and when to ask those questions. And there's some people who really don't care about sharing their lives like that or like
Oh, yeah.
sharing part of themselves. But I still ask, and somehow they still like just spill everything out on me, but they don't want to, and then they feel like obligated to help me in some way. And I'm like, no, I'm here as a human. Like, I don't want to take anything from you. I just want to
Yeah.
help you process you as an individual. Like,
Yeah. That happens to me a lot too.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a weird feeling because you're just like, I don't want any form of payment back. I just want.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling, and you almost feel like you're using them once they start trying to do favors for you, but you're not. They chose to open up to you.
And they choose to like be there, and
Yeah.
you're like, I want you to be here, but like, I want you to like
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah.
You know?
Some people though, they can just lean on you way too heavily. Some people once they find out that you're a good listener, they just let it all out and they don't stop. You have to set boundaries. I don't like setting those boundaries. I feel like a complete asshole when I do. But you have to, or you're just gonna crumble. You can't constantly listen to the same person talking nonstop about their problems. It sounds like an asshole thing to say as I'm saying it right now, but it's true.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I don't know. But yeah, that's.
So do you feel like you're able to draw the boundaries necessary?
No, not yet.
So how are you working on that? To
I'm learning how. I'm trying to read more in regards to like how to have a conversation and how to express myself more. What is the word? What is it? It starts with an S. Oh gosh, just be more concise with everything. Just be more.
yeah,
So I'm just trying to have more dialogue in my daily
yeah,
reads and seeing how other people interact and
yeah.
to what level it's necessary.
I think the best way to get better at that is just practice. Unfortunately for me, there might be a better way, but unfortunately for me, I learned that lesson of where to draw the boundaries by having people walk all over me. They don't stop talking, and I just have to draw the line somewhere. And I feel like an
How did
asshole when I
you-
do it, but I have to.
Right? But how did you?
You're good. Don't worry about it. That's what editing's for.
What's that?
That's what editing's for.
But yeah, just I don't know. I feel like people need us though. Like need the listeners.
Yeah.
With those boundaries, I just don't know how.
Yeah, we're useful people. people do need to talk about what's going on in their head, and I like to listen, and from the sound of it, you do too. But you can listen too much. You have to take time to be you and not just a microphone. you need to have your own personality too. You can't just let other people walk all over you.
How did you set boundaries? What kind of words do you say? Or what kind of sentences? What do you tell them whenever you know you need to set a boundary?
So, I'll give you an example. I do personal training. I think I've told you about this. I have this weekly calisthenics thing I do. There's this one lady who comes there. Not going to say any names, but she learned pretty fast that I'm a listener, and she's a talker. And she'll just go and go and go. And at the beginning, I did a few favors for her because she doesn't have a car. I'd give her a ride and stuff. But when I go back to her place, she'll just stay in my car and talk. And I'm thinking, please leave. I've got stuff to do. and I'll even try throwing hints like turning off the car and sighing, and she just keeps talking. So eventually, I started just kind of. I kind of ignored her for like a couple of weeks, except for the actual workout periods, and I think she started to get the hint maybe after 2 or 3 weeks a little bit. And when I did see her in person, I made sure to keep somewhat of a more physical distance. That does help. It's harder to talk to somebody if they're not at an interpersonal distance physically.
Do you think a conversation, and I don't mean to push back on the conversation, but like, do you think that a conversation would have been needed in this? Like, to say, hey, I have a lot of things to do, like, I really gotta go, sorry to cut you short, anything like that would have, instead of just ignoring her?
That might be a good way to do it. I'm afraid that if I do that, I'm going to hurt her, and I don't want to do that. Unfortunately, sometimes some people just can't handle you being direct, and I don't always know how to tell who those people are. So I love being direct, honestly. I'm a direct person. I have no problem with confrontation.
Me too. I love it. Especially whenever there's like a build up to that confrontation, or a build up to like whatever needs to happen, or whatever needs to be.
But I don't want to hurt people either, and so I need to be careful. I think with her, I found a pretty good solution here. Just kind of set that boundary. The time we spend together is in the calisthenics class. That's it. You can talk to me, but if there are other people there, I'm giving them at least as much attention as I'm giving you. She does talk. She does try and just. The first time I did this, actually, I was with two people. She was one of them, and there's this other guy, and I would try to create that physical distance. She would literally follow me and just keep talking. It was wild. I'm like, how does she not notice what she's doing right now? But
out of habit.
Yeah.
Out of habit.
Eventually, she figured it out, I think. But yeah, you have to. It helps a lot when there's somebody else there, because I can give them attention without feeling guilty about ignoring her. If there's nobody else there, I'm going to feel a lot more guilty about ignoring her, but I just have to kind of erase some of those good listening habits, and that's hard to do because those habits are set. Yeah, they're set in there hard, and normally they're a very good thing, but sometimes they can be used against you.
Yep. Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that, like, so you said before, prior to this, that not necessarily prior to this video, but like prior to our friend, like whenever we first started talking as friends, like you had said that you wanted to be in politics too at one point.
Yeah.
That you thought
something
that you would want to pursue. I think that's something that good listeners have, that they also want to become part of some type of change, some type of like societal like I don't know, they want to contribute
Yeah.
greatly.
Sort of a conduit for making things happen, which is what I'm hoping this is, hopefully.
Right? I don't know, but yeah. So maybe it's a good thing. Well, it is a good thing to have this, but it could also be a bad thing.
Yeah, it can be. You have to learn to control it, and it's not always going to feel good to set those boundaries.
Right? But yeah, so.
I could pick a random topic if you want to.
Sure, we'll see.
Well, actually, you're going to pick the topic, but you're not going to know what topic you're picking until I say it.
Okay.
All right. So I wrote a couple lists of topics. Now, do you want to talk about you or about people and society? Those are the two names I gave these two main sections. Now, normally, I know what you would pick, but given our previous conversation...
Okay, let's go out of my comfort zone and see something about me.
Pick a 1 through 6.
3.
Okay, 3. Pick a 1 through 3.
1.
1. Alright, so this is about honesty. Are you honest, for starters? Are you honest with people?
I try to be. Obviously, there's certain situations where you can't be completely honest, or you just leave things out.
And why? Why do you think that's important?
I don't know, like there's certain parts of yourself that you don't share with other people, so that's the honesty. Like you can't just share all of yourself with other people.
Yeah, and
So-
I think most people would probably agree with that, but why not? Why can't you share everything?
I don't know. Because there's so many different standards that we set on ourselves and that other people set on us. So, but as far as that question itself, I try to be. As far as an individual, like if I'm honest to other people, I as much as I possibly can.
Yeah,
If someone asks me a question, I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can and as direct as I can.
yeah.
Now, if it's like about myself, if someone's like asking me about myself, I'm like, life's a little private.
Yeah, that can be hard. So, are there some areas of your life that it's very easy to be honest about, and other areas that it's very hard to be honest about?
Yes.
So, what are some of the areas that are easy to be honest about?
The things that I like, I don't know. It's more factual information, like that's just the car that I have, or like, just things like that. Those are...
Yeah, simple things that aren't necessarily an indicator of personality or inner demons or anything like that.
Yeah. Yes.
So I would assume, conversely, that you have a hard time being honest about those inner demons and things that say a lot about your personality. Is that right? Yeah.
And I think that's a thing about the listeners.
I think that's most people. I think most people
really?
are like that. It's just that
Okay.
some people, I guess some people have different opinions of how deep they're willing to go with their personality, with displaying their personality. There's a sort of imaginary line, I think. I'm willing to show this much, and anything below that, I'm terrified to show. Anything above that, it's public information.
Okay. Like our Facebook settings.
Yeah. I had no idea they ever opened that. I thought that was still closed. Are you honest with yourself?
I try to be as much as I can.
Do you think you succeed at that, though?
I don't know. It's a hard question.
It is.
It's very...
Especially since not being honest with yourself by default means that could be a hard question to answer.
Well, it's not necessarily that. It's like you
You don't necessarily know when you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like whenever you feel like, so there's 3 different types of pains, right? Physical pain, then there's the thought pain, and then there's like invisible pain. So like, if you were to be hurt in some way, but you don't see it physically hurting you, but it still hurts you, how do you know if you're lying to yourself whether or not you are hurt?
Yeah. Usually you'll find out eventually, but only after it's taken its toll.
Yeah. Then even after that, that pain could have been, or if you think about it, that pain is valid due to the situation that you were in.
Yeah.
So it's like you never know, like, you could be completely honest with yourself, but if you say it doesn't hurt, when it does hurt, when something does hurt, then you don't, does that make sense? Like, you can contradict yourself
Yeah.
in either way, going either if something hurts now and you're acting on it, or if something hurts and you're not acting on it, like you could have been lying to yourself in that moment, like, no, it doesn't hurt, or
Yeah.
those are the type of honesty questions I think I
Yeah.
encounter. And then,
Typically you're either going to deal with it and get over it, or you're going to bury it and have to deal with it later.
yeah,
Basically, I think a really good analogy is that you can run from your demons, but you're just going to have to keep running, and eventually you're going to have to stop running because you can't run forever, and you're not going to know how to fight them.
exactly. Or you can spend your time learning how to fight them and fight them at the same time.
Yeah.
But even if you're doing that, either situation, you don't ever know what type of or how honest you're being with yourself
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's all like, I guess it's very courageous to be completely honest with yourself.
It is. It's hard. It's definitely hard. I've had a lot of trouble with that, and that's something I've been working on a lot, is trying to be more honest with myself.
How are you doing that?
I think a start, honestly, is being more honest with myself to other people. Not hiding myself, not wearing filters, just letting it go. Which is very freeing. It's hard to do, and it's terrifying at first, but it's very freeing.
Okay. I don't know how to do that. How to just be myself. But, like, I still...
Yeah. It's really hard to remove a filter if it's always been there, or if it's even if it's been there most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I've had filters with my family that I still have not removed. I've told myself I'm going to remove this filter, and then I talk to them, the filter's there. I'm like, what the fuck? Get out of the way.
Okay.
So habits are really, really hard to break. But they say to break a habit, you need to make it a habit.
Make a new habit.
Yeah, you need to make a habit. And in this case, I think it's obvious what that new habit is: honesty. And I don't know what to say other than just do it. First time is always going to be terrifying. The next time probably will be too, and probably a while after that, but eventually you'll get used to it. You just have to be ready for whatever happens.
Right?
And I don't completely agree with this statement, but there's definitely wisdom in it. I don't remember who said it, but be yourself, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
That's true.
You don't have to be an asshole to somebody because they don't accept you. Just, they don't have to be a part of your life. There are so many people in this world. You don't need everybody to like you.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be something big to take on.
Yeah.
That is something big to take on as an individual.
It is.
So